Good afternoon and welcome to Gungahlin Enclosed Stadium live football on Bar TV Sports. It's men's NPL here in Canberra, and we're looking forward to Gungahlin United versus Canberra FC. I'm Russ Gibbs, your commentator. Joining me as usual is Steve Forshaw. Steve, we were here last week. We had a dramatic ending to that one. 2 goals in stoppage time for a 2-2 draw, and we'll talk about it in just a second about what happened yesterday. But this game today now has huge importance for both teams.
It does, for different reasons perhaps, because Canberra FC, following the results from yesterday, can reclaim top spot, and Gungahlin United look to get the 3 points to consolidate their position in the top 4. So, as you say, vitally important for both sides. Well,
let's talk about that games yesterday before we get settled into this one this afternoon. 3 matches yesterday. Woden Western FC 1, Tuggeranong United 1, Alaid Gungahlin for Woden Western, then Shane Murray equalising for Tuggeranong United. The game you were at last night, Steve, Canberra Olympic win 2-0 up. Daniel Colbertado and Stephen Dominici in the first 8 minutes. Then goals from Phil Bourgeot, a couple from Dustin Wells and one from Marty Rains. Wells scoring in the last minute to make it 4-2. Hell of a turnaround for Belconnen United. You were there. What was the catalyst for that change?
Well, there's no doubt that Olympic started better than Belconnen did last night and scored 2 goals. First one was an absolute cracker, and the second one was a penalty, as you say. But Belconnen have got a sort of resilience about them and a never-say-die attitude that kept them in the hunt, even when they were faced with the adversity. So once we'd got the first goal, once Belconnen had got the first goal, the tide really turned after that. A couple of tweaks in midfield made a big difference where we were able to close down their playmakers, and eventually, then certainly in the last 80 minutes, Belconnen were the more dominant side and deserved the victory.
Big result for the Blue Devils. I'll tell you about the table in a second. The other game yesterday was in Griffith, where Riverina Rhinos came from 2-0 down to beat Monero Panthers 3-2. Daniel Felici and Sam Smith had given Monero a 2-0 lead. Goals from Darren Bailey, Joe Priest and Bajiante. Not aware of him. He must be a new one on the Rhinos list, but he got the winner. 3-2 for the Rhinos, coming back from 2-0 down. A little bit of payback there for the Rhinos, having had their points taken off them against the Panthers earlier in the year.
Yes, I mean, it's a couple of good results in a row for the Riverina Rhinos. I think the last time they were in Canberra, they beat Gungahlin, one of the teams that we'll see today, 1-0. They were unfortunate to lose points against Monero, and they'd beaten them comprehensively on the park. But another major comeback, and 2 goals down, and have come out 3-2 winners. They'll be delighted with that.
And the Panthers got parted ways with Zoran Glavinic in a week as well, which is unfortunate for Zoran, and it hasn't really helped them this season. They've a couple of games now. They've been in front. They were 3-0 up against Tuggeranong and lost at home. Now they were 2-0 up against Riverina Rhinos and lost. That sees them sitting bottom of the table. But that's really frustrating for Zoran when he was there, and the Monero Panthers public in general. Yeah, I understand Jimmy Baxter, Zoran's assistant, has taken over until the end of the season, so he was at one stage probably looking at a really good start to his first-grade coaching career. Unfortunately, as you've suggested, they just can't see games out. I mean, from 2-0 up, 3-0 up, and to lose, it's becoming a little bit of a habit for them, and perhaps speaks more about the depth of the squad and the quality in the squad rather than the coaching. The good thing about this league, though, Stephen, we've said this all season, Monero Panthers next week play Tigers at home. That game has a big bearing on the top 4. And if you're a Tigers FC player, you're playing the team that's bottom of the table, you're not thinking that's an easy game, are you?
No. The difference between top and bottom has closed dramatically. And I'm not sure whether that's because the bottom teams have got better or the top teams have got worse. And it may well be a combination of both. But the competition has been even all season. We've had surprise results nearly every weekend. We've had the re-emergence of Tuggeranong as a major force. Woden have been able to change their fortunes from the last couple of seasons. So it's a competition where every game matters. Every game you've got to go in with the right sort of attitude, or you're likely to be on the wrong end of the result. And every week we edge ever closer to the final series, and that top 4 is becoming more and more congested. This is how we stand before the game today. Canberra Olympic top of the table, 24 points from 11 matches. Canberra FC second, 22 points from 9 games, so they'll either have a game in hand no matter what happens after today. Tuggeranong sitting third with 20 points from 12 matches. Belconnen United, who a couple of weeks ago were out of it, now right back in the mix, 4th place, 17 points from 12 matches. They're followed by Gungahlin United, who we'll see this afternoon, 14 points from 10 games, so a big match for them too. Then we have Tigers FC, 13 points from 10 games, and then we have Woden Western and Riverina Rhinos, 10 points each
as well. So theoretically, they're still in with a shout too.
It's not over by any stretch of the imagination. I think the top two have sort of opened up a significant gap, and that'll be hard to close. But third and fourth positions are up for grabs at the moment. I mean, a few weeks ago, Belconnen were a long way behind Tuggeranong, and now it's been whittled down to 3 points. So they could be pushing for a third place finish. But those last two semi-final spots are well and truly up for grabs. And over the next couple of weeks, it'll sort itself out.
Well, Gungahlin United, as we said here, the home team. Last week they rescued a point from nothing in the 97th minute. We thought Tigers had won it when they scored in the 94th. And these two sides met back in round 4. Ben Obst gave Gungahlin United the surprise lead at Deakin Stadium after 7 minutes, but a double from Thomas James and a goal from Jordan Lamb gave Canberra FC the 3 points. We'll go through the teams in just a second, Steve. Canberra FC, obviously you think will be favoured to win today, but Gungahlin United, from what we saw last week, Marcel Munoz wasn't particularly happy with the performance of his team. First half he thought they were okay, second half he thought they were a bit slack and let Tigers back in to dominate possession. Playing against Canberra FC, will this style of this Canberra FC side suit Gungahlin more than Tigers because they're more structured?
Yeah, I think so. I think we can look forward to a reasonably open game today. Both teams like to play attacking football. Gungahlin are very, very well organised. You know, if you look at the last three results in the local NPL of both these teams, it's almost a mirror image where they've both had a win and a draw and a loss. The difference being that FC come off a win last week and Gungahlin have suffered a little bit of a win to wobble, a draw last week, and then their last game they lost 1-0 against the Riverino Rhinos. So they'll be looking to put that back. I think the more telling comparison between these two teams is the FFA Cup final. That FC won 3-2, and in that game Gungahlin started extremely brightly and probably feel a little disappointed that they didn't at least take the game to extra time. So they're two well-matched sides.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that as the next point, that FFA Cup final. There's a sense of a grievance, I think, with Gungahlin. Obviously they're putting it behind them now to get on that they didn't get something out of that game. A couple of decisions didn't go their way. They'll be out to maybe prove a point today?
Well, I think so. They've got everything to play for. One, they want to put that FFA Cup final to rest and see if they can get something out of the game, but they need the points if they're going to be a threat to the top four. So you've got to be taking points off the top teams if you want to be in the top four, purely and simply for momentum and confidence.
Alex Toomey is a referee. Alex McConaughey and Lauren Hargrave on the line. The two teams quickly. Gungahlin United, Jason Dedham in goal. Kai Edwards, Jack Green, Lachlan Griffiths across the back. Ben Obst, Anthony Timotheo, James Fletcher, Michael Ronaldo, Mishka Namoski and Tom Kirklich in a midfield kind of 5 or 6 with Jason O'Dwyer just in front of them. It may be a 4-3-3. We'll wait and see what happens. More than likely. 3 changes from the team we saw last week. Kirklich in for Bangara, Edwards for Rathjen and Ronaldo for Bassa Silk. Canberra FC, Sam Brown in goal. Marko Verkic, Daniel Subasic, Matt Gerbischer and Ivan Pavlak across the back 4. A midfield 4 of Thomas James, Ian Graham, Ryan Keir, Matthew Waters. Front 2, Kofi Danning, Michael Tarazi. Steve, looking at both these lineups, and I say with this Canberra, the Gungahlin team, it's almost a 4-3-3, give or take a few players moving around. Where's this game going to be won or lost?
I think it'll be won in midfield. I mean, most games are, I guess. I'm not giving anything away there. But I think the fact that FC line up with a 4-4-2, I'm expecting Gungahlin United to probably play more 3-4-3 than 4-3-3, which means that you're going to have a very congested midfield, and I think the team that can come out on top in that particular area of the pitch gives themselves a major chance of winning.
Yeah, looking at the team I've got here, we've got a lot of wide players out here. We've got Obst, Fletcher, Ronaldo, Kirklich can always play out wide. Timothy and Namoski, the more central of the two. And a big onus perhaps on Jason O'Dwyer, as there always is in this Gungahlin team, to keep hold of the ball up front.
Yeah, I mean, he's an absolute machine in terms of his work rate, Jason. He's been an absolute godsend for Marcel to put in this system that he likes to play, because he just works so hard in the first line of defence, and he makes himself available when they're going forward. I think Thomas James, who's in real good goal-scoring form, is obviously going to be the major goal threat for Canberra FC, and if he can contain them, then Gungahlin United give themselves an even chance.
Got a delay as there's a hole in the net. Always strikes me as funny, this is that why they don't check it before the game starts rather than 2 minutes before kickoff.
Well, presumably it was there when the 20s played, so it could have been fixed a long time ago.
Or maybe someone in the warm-up's got an incredibly hard shot.
Yeah,
just
right
rips the net from its moorings.
Yeah.
Fair bit of goalmouth action you're watching there on Bar TV Sports. Unfortunately, it's just them taping up the net. We're hoping for plenty this afternoon. I think we're going to get a few goals. You mentioned Thomas James, 15 in all competitions for him this season, 11 league games, 4 in the Cup, and plenty of goals in this Canberra FC team. By contrast, we mentioned it again last week, Gungahlin United, their top goal scorers with 5, 2 in the league and 3 in the Cup, both Timotheo and O'Dwyer, and Thomas Muller off the bench, 3 goals and in the league, 2 in the Cup. So FC definitely have the more firepower, and it's them in the red shirts, white shorts and the blue socks, the colours of the Croatian flag, which is the team obviously where Canberra FC are based. First run of the game for James, swings it into the area, an early tester for Jason Denham, and he'll be pretty tired this morning. Thomas James, he was out last night watching England get to the semi-finals of the World Cup. I'd imagine quite a few of these Croatian boys were out there too, like Marko Dvrkic. I'm sure he was out watching the Croatia versus, or up early watching Croatia-Russia this morning as well.
And well, they can go together next time because they play each other, they're not in the semi-final.
Yeah, I think they'll be expecting a slow start. I'm sure there's a few boys here. This is, of course, I would say amateur / semi-professional level. So anyway, early row by with Paul Maker with Alex McConaughey on this near side over a throw-in. Hopefully that's not setting the tone. James on the turn to Tarazi. Green's tight. Fletcher gets involved, as does Ronaldo, who wins the ball back for Gungahlin in the black and white stripes.
Might see this for the first 10 or 15 minutes where both sides try and test each other out and try and establish a little bit of dominance in midfield or on the ball. I expect FC to be the one to press early, and Gungahlin United sticking to their football principles and trying to play out from the back.
Graham heads it forward into the path of Danning. Nice touch for him, and he can spin it wide to Waters. First touch of the afternoon for the wide player. Pavlak. Nothing on forward, so he'll go backwards. Gerbischer. As expected, a fairly tepid tempo is James. Looking to inject some pace, but Fletcher all over that one. Subasic. James again. And the first touch for Sam Brown, who's come into the team for Jordan Thurtell today on their rotation policy. It's a good ball wide for James.
Second time we've seen that switch from Pavlak, and it's obviously a tactic that they've decided that they employ, given that...
Well, James is past his marker, swings it in, and it's straight at Denham again. Carrying with your point there, Steve.
Yeah, well, same result in the end. I mean, the ball into the box from James and straight into the arms of Denham, but if they are playing with the back three, there are going to be spaces outside them, and it appears that FC want to use the switch to try and take advantage of that.
Fletcher goes back to Green. Good pressure from Tarazi, but Jack Green skips away from the challenge and can free Lachlan Griffiths over on that far side. Likes a touch of the ball, does Griffiths. Fletcher, who we were impressed with last week, got a heavy knock, didn't he, James Fletcher? We were wondering whether he was going to start today.
Yeah, he had to come off with a touch of what we thought might have been concussion, but obviously he's recovered in time and he starts in his usual midfield role today. James,
they're pressuring him. Brown came to offer an option. James decided to go himself. Verkic finds Gerbischer. Waters. Now Keir in the middle of the park, and he looks for Danning. And he's going to get in behind Green here, but languid style of Jack Green. Didn't look like he was anything like full pace there, did he? And he just ate up the ground.
Got his left thigh heavily strapped as well. I wonder if that's causing him some problems.
Well, that's causing him some problems. That was Ian Graham. That's a foul. Maybe he doesn't look like he's moving that freely, does he, Jack Green, early on? Maybe it'll warm up on him as he goes through the game. But it did look like he was loping rather in that first challenge. And even then, going into tackle Ian Graham, he was a little bit late.
Yeah, he was just a little half yard off the pace. He's not an explosive sprinter, Jack Green, but he covers the ground with those long legs quite efficiently.
Well, first set piece of the afternoon. Thomas James is behind it. We know he's got a decent delivery. He's got 4 red shirts, or 5 in the penalty area now. Graham just on the edge of the box there in your shot. What's James going to do here? Goes near post and Fletcher running. It was a poor free kick, to be fair, from James. Second opportunity to chip it towards Danning. Chance for Kofi Danning on the volley. He's got the technique and skill to pull that off as well.
Yeah, I mean, the the defence in the second phase of that set piece, Gungahlin will be a little bit disappointed. It was a bit too easy for one FC to get the ball back into the area, and then Danning was largely free at the back post and might have done better. Good effort, but he might have done better.
Probably had more time than he suspected. Denham goes short to Timotheo, and then on this occasion tries to find Obbs. Now here is Danning. Real chance for Kofi Danning in the area on the volley, half volley rather, and it's blocked by Green. Another chance goes begging, or half chance.
Yeah, and it's play out from the back at all costs, and if you do make mistakes, then FC are just the team that are capable of punishing you, and you nearly saw the first goal as a result.
Well, it's Ben Obst who turned that ball over. He was the hero last week, wasn't he, with that 97th minute equaliser?
Yeah, good player, but under pressure you're probably looking to play in behind or past lines.
The battle between Tarazi and Green's going to be something to keep an eye on this afternoon. Here's Timotheo. Usually dictates things from a deep line midfield role for the Gunners. Green. Nice turn from Ronaldo. Nemoski, though, loses control. A foul throw against Marko Verkic. He's taken it from he's taken it from the AFL oval, hasn't he?
Yes, he should have thrown that in over his head.
2 lines there, and he's unfortunately for Marko Verkic, he's taken it from the line that's inside. You can hardly see the touchline in front of them, to be fair, though, can you?
Yeah. And
you can't blame Alex McConaughey for that one. He can't. He's got no option.
No, but in the under-18 game, there was a foul throw given for the same thing, and then on the retake, the opposition player did exactly the same thing.
Graham sprays it forward. Danning, good ball into the area, and Tarazi was coming in, but was always a bit too fast and hard for the centre forward. Michael Tarazi with 3 goals this season, 2 in the league, 1 in the cup. We've mentioned him earlier in commentary and games we've done earlier this season. He's got a lot of quality, Michael Tarazi, if he can just get a consistent run of games together.
And that's the unfortunate thing for Michael. He's suffered, for a long time through injury. But he is a quality player and a good finisher. But we just saw a ball being played in to Michael, but he was the only one in the box. And I think FC would be better when they haven't got numbers there. Just be patient and try and build up an attack rather than just whip it in.
Kai Edwards with the throw for Gungahlin. Up towards O'Dwyer. Challenge. It's pretty firm from Gerbisher, and he concedes the free kick. Timotheo comes short to Fletcher. Griffiths. Now Green. Griffiths again. FC happy to let Gungahlin play with the ball at the back. That one's short though, and Keir got involved. It's bounced back to Timotheo. Put a pinball in the middle of the field. And there's a chance perhaps for Nemoski. Can he square it wide here? Here's Ronaldo, but the ball has been read by Brown, and he can get James underway. A quick release to the striker, but Green's read the intentions, and he looks to be running a bit freer now. Maybe it was just a bit of an early cold for him and his legs. Here's a chance for Ronaldo immediately in behind. Chance here, and a goal for Marco Ronaldo, but the flag has gone up. Lauren Hargreave on the far side denies Gungahlin the dream start.
Well, good move, good penetrating pass. Michael Ronaldo just mistimed his run, but it was a lovely finish, world-class finish, and an early warning sign for FC that this is not going to be all their way.
It's a cheap turnover in midfield, wasn't it? And he finished it well, Michael Ronaldo. He's got pace, and he can finish. Dwyer will chase this. Sebastic is back there. Gerbisher wins it. Verkic rolls the challenge of Ronaldo. Good strength there from the fullback, and a nice switch to Waters.
Again, we see that diagonal switch.
He's taking on Edwards. James, he gets a licence to float. Thomas James infield. Still going, Thomas James. Now Danning. Thought James was going to unleash a shot for a moment. Good ball towards the far post. Well won by Edwards. The flag's up for offside. Are you surprised James didn't pull the trigger?
I think he was certainly contemplating as he moved across the box, but Gungahlin shuffled well and just closed down the shooting spaces. And in the end, I think that sort of patience before they pull the trigger isn't a bad decision.
Most of the early pressure coming on the goal to our right through Canberra FC, but it's Gunners who've had it in the net, only for it to be called up offside a couple of moments ago. You're watching live football on Bar TV Sports. Men's MPL from Canberra. Gungahlin United 0, Canberra FC 0. Here in this important match at Gungahlin enclosed. Griffiths finds Timotheo. Looks for the run of O'Dwyer, but Pavlak's read it nicely and heads it back to Brown.
Tremendous amount of experience in the back four for FC, Gerbisher and Pavlak. Been around the trap for a long time, and you can see there the quality of Pavlak. He saw that coming before the bloke that was passing it did.
And he's got pace to get back there as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Green. Well, the fulcrum for much of what Gungahlin do, but it's closed down well by Danning. Kofi Danning's enjoyed a good season. Pivotal in the cup final victory.
Yeah, they've had a few players in good form. Ryan Keir's in good goal-scoring form, and they play with Ryan more or less at the top of a diamond in the midfield four, and it's been really effective for him.
Waters. Oh, he opened up the body to shoot, but that's a fantastic tackle from Griffiths to deny him. And a chance for Gungahlin to bring it forward. Edwards is on the overlap. Swings it in and couldn't quite find the angle he wanted, but that was Tom Kirkland taking it forward. And then another character in this Gungahlin team who's got a lot of quality. He's been brought in today for the absent Augustin Bangira, and we're expecting a lot from him.
Well, he's got some big shoes to fill because Bangira played quite well last week, and we understand that he's come down with an illness, and that's why he's not available today. But that was a good decision. He's broke quickly. He's cut up the first defender and then played a decent pass. Edwards unable to wrap his foot round it, and that if they don't have the quality, they won't get the goals, and he really should have done better with the cross.
Sam Brown was happy to see it go behind the goal kick. Green wins a header. Obst touched back. And Waters was quick in on Timotheo just as Tarazi is on Edwards. Ball forward to Obst. And Keir picks up the loose ball and looks to get Thomas James in. And Green's come across.
That's wonderful defending. Again, it's, as we were talking about with Pavlak, a lot of experience, a lot of quality there, and not only does he snuff out the attack, but he finds a pass to go forward.
It's coming straight back there as Keir has it. Obst does well to hold off the bigger player. Fletcher. Lovely little touch from Griffiths towards Edwards, who didn't really get on the front foot and invited Waters to come and make the challenge. As with most good defenders, and I guess with most good players, Jack Green makes everything look fairly effortless, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. He always looks like he's got time and space, doesn't he?
Here's Fletcher. And Canberra FC pressing in midfield. Timotheo. Ball switched to this near side. It's a chance for Ronaldo to run into the area. Still going, Ronaldo, opportunity. Brown makes the initial save. It's looping in the air, and the Canberra FC goalkeeper always favourite to grab it at the second attempt.
Twice now, Ronaldo's got in behind. Twice they've come close to actually pinching the first goal, and I think a left foot cut back there, and maybe Gungahlin go in front.
Gungahlin growing into the contest as we move into the just past the 10-minute mark. Look threatening going forward.
Played some nice football to get out.
Green just glides past Danning, finds Nemoski. Ronaldo tight to the touchline, both of them. Green.
Timotheo playing really deep, come and try and get on the ball, going in between central defenders.
And spraying the ball towards Kirklick, who acknowledges the attempt. It's something that Gungahlin like to do, isn't it? Get people like Green and Timotheo on the ball as often as they can. Almost like a deep line quarterback role to strike those balls over the top for these quick players out wide.
Yes, indeed. And I think it's not in the Munoz playbook that you play too many long balls. It's about a short passing, quick movement sort of game.
James. Just as a lot of stuff goes through Timotheo for Gungahlin, most of what's good comes through this fella. Thomas James for FC.
Yeah, he's an interesting character because he does float. You alluded to it earlier in the call that he's got a licence to go where he wants, and you know at the moment he's in a sort of right back spot, but if they can get forward he'll make a late run into the box, and that's where his danger comes from.
Waters finds Tarazi. It was a good pick from Daniel Subasic to spray that one out to the left winger in the initial phase. Here's Edwards looking for the run of O'Dwyer, and Subasic covers him. Brown sends it towards Waters again. He'll keep this one in, and Timotheo sends that one way off onto the field over on the back there, where earlier there was an under-16s game going on over there, and at one stage I think Canberra FC were leading 6-5 against Gungahlin in what seemed to be an incredible match.
And symptomatic of modern football, where defending seems to have gone out the window.
I don't mind a few goals though, Steve. I'm happy if this one ends 6-5. Don't mind which way. As yet, we're waiting for the first one.
The great Jose Mourinho said if you get that sort of scoreline in training, he would stop it.
Very pragmatic is El Jose, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think as well as that's entertaining for the neutral, for the people involved, the managers, it's one way you pull your hair out, isn't it?
Well, you certainly you throw out the defensive playbook, do you not? You hope that you haven't spent the last fortnight working on how to defend.
You come away having scored 5 goals, wondering how you've not got anything from the match.
It happens though, does it not?
It does happen. We've had plenty of goals in some games we've seen on Bar TV this year as well, including Canberra FC. Remember a 7-2 win over Tigers at Deakin Stadium. And Tigers a week later went to Riverina and won 7-0 there, so lots of goals. Waiting for the first one here. Danning's challenging Green, and referee Alex Toomey says it's a corner. An opportunity for FC from the set piece. Thomas James will no doubt want to say in this. Ryan Keir's an obvious target.
Yeah, Keir and Tarazi. I mean, I watched the Tuggeranong and FC game at Canberra, and they scored twice from set pieces in a 2-2 draw. Tarazi got one of them. But they've got Gerbisher, who will come into the back post, and Keir that are obvious targets. Tarazi looking for crumbs.
And Subasic is free on the far stick as well, going to make a late run. So James to deliver. Swings it towards the far post, and it was dipping, and Jason Denham had to be alert. It's a fairly imposing figure, Jason Denham, at the best of times, and in that bright fluorescent green shirt even more so. Gerbisher goes down, wins a free kick.
Poor distribution. I mean, he did so well to nullify the corner, but his distribution then just put Fletcher under pressure.
Good shot stopper Denham. We saw him deny Michael Keita what would have been a certain goal last week at this venue. Going to have to be on his toes again as James lines up a free kick.
I'm sure he won't mind me saying, but he's a big man, but he's so agile that he is one of the better goalkeepers in the competition.
Absolutely. How's he going to deal with this one as James looks to pick the lock towards a far post, and it's well won by Griffiths, cleared by Kirklick, and Gungahlin dealt with that well. Gerbisher looks to send it back where it came from. Keir flags up though. Ryan Keir pinged for offside. Alex McConaughey's decision not met with 100% approval by Paul Maycor.
No, I think when the ball gets to Keir, he's certainly in an onside position, but he's when the ball's played, he's coming back from offside, and that's what Alex McConaughey's seen.
Well, he's right in line with it is Alex McConaughey. Timotheo.
So 2 Alexes today in the officials.
Yep, Toomey in the middle, McConaughey on the near side, and Lauren Hargrave on the far side, a young female official who's moved here from Tasmania. Here's Tarazi spinning, looking to get the shot away. She's done well this season. Well, here's a chance for Ronaldo, but there's the experience you were talking about, Steve. Gerbisher just sticks a toe out and prods it back to his keeper.
Yeah, good cover, but Ronaldo's touch just let him down a little bit, or else he was away.
Verkic. Subasic. Just sends that one forward. More in hope than expectation.
Well, we could do with a goal, Russ. It's just a game that's sort of settled into a...
similar to last week's pattern, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
18 minutes gone, no goals, and that needed a goal to spark life into the contest.
I mean, there's been some really good passing and combinations, but it's a game that's being played largely between the 2 penalty areas at the moment.
Waters looking to see if he can create something. Pavlak. Now Gerbesher. Just as Jack Green does for Gungahlin, so does Gerbesher. Tarazi from distance wound that one up and let it go, but it was never troubling Jason Denham, but ambitious, and he's got the quality from there.
It was actually a lovely turn, showed a lot of body strength, and then he's unleashed, unfortunately not on target.
Interesting benches today. You compare these, Steve. Gungahlin United, Ben Battersilk, Eli Howe, Hayden Ty, Thomas Muller, Gabriel Ayul, all very young up-and-coming players. Look at the other bench. Aidan Brunskill, Ross Costanzo, Andy Rakic and Michael Mensah. It's a slight difference in youth and experience on those benches.
It is indeed. And for the people that are looking for development in the game with the younger players coming on, they'll be hoping that the Gungahlin bench comes out on top if it's actually called upon.
Must be great for Paul Maker, though, if he's in a situation he needs an experienced head. He's got Aidan Brunskill, who's played probably about 800 games for this club. Michael Mensah, who's played professionally overseas as well. Andy Rakic, who we know all about as well, some quality player. And even Ross Costanzo, who's very young, but still had a lot of games under his belt at decent levels.
Yes, he has. There's a wealth of experience on the bench for FC. And, you know, they've had players go overseas for the World Cup, and they've had players injured, so they've had to sort of draft in players to help them out, and you couldn't ask for more quality than what they've got on the bench.
Fair bit of experience and quality on the field as well, but it's 0-0 here at Gungahlin Enclosed, just past the 20-minute mark. Good long throw from Gerbesher. Graham tries to get there, but Nomoski beats him to it. Pavlak has got plenty of time to size this one up. He bobbled on him a little bit there, didn't he, as he sent it back to Brown.
Interesting decision, because he had time to play forward.
Obst tries to get the loose ball, but Keir steers it away from him, only as far as Kirklick. He takes on the midfielder and he's away from him. Chance for Kirklick to run. Obst on the edge of the box. It's opening up perhaps for Gungahlin. Just ran away from the midfielder. And here comes James on the break. Fletcher is back with him as well. Thomas James looks to take on. Fletcher swings it towards Danning. Another decent ball in, but just too far ahead of his strike partner.
Yeah, we could see what he was trying to do, and he's nearly picked him out, but very, very difficult to pick out one or two players in the box. And Thomas James, with his pace and his quality, needs a little bit more support from his the fellow attacking players, and they need to be able to get into the penalty area for him.
Free kick to Gungahlin. As I mentioned, where they were sitting on the league table, currently in 5th place on 14 points. A win today would put them back above Belconnen United on goal difference. So from a purely selfish point of view, you'll be rather hoping Canberra FC win and win well, Steve.
Well, yeah. A draw might be nice as well.
Here's Ronaldo, a bit of space. He's looked lively since the start of the game and had a goal disallowed, of course. He's got through the first tackle, tried to play a 1-2 with Obst. Not sure Ben Obst knew much about it. And Will Griffiths is all over the back of Tarazi. Free kick for Canberra FC midway through the first half, live on Bar TV Sports. No goals between Gungahlin and Canberra FC. James battling with Fletcher again, Steve.
It's slightly ironic that Thomas James down the FC right and Ronaldo down the Gungahlin left are the two players that have actually caused most problems. The grandstand side is witness to the best of the attacking play.
Here's Keir on the loose ball. Waters with a left foot drive, but straight down the breadbasket of Denham. Maybe these two lines are causing issues to the defenders down here, Steve.
It wouldn't surprise you, would it?
Pavlak. I mean, from a distance, the pitch doesn't look too bad, does it? But it's a bit bobbly.
Very, very dry, very, very hard. So, you know, first touch really important today.
It's been much better nick than it has been in recent years here at Gungahlin, though. I remember coming here a few years ago for a Tuggeron game, and it was like a swamp, this near field.
Yeah,
they had planks down on it so you could walk across just to get to the far side.
Yeah.
Was that a game you were involved in, maybe, Steve? If I remember, a few years back, over on that far field.
Yeah, possibly.
I think it probably was.
Yeah. distant memories, Russ.
Back in the hazy days when Tuggeranong United were in the FFA Cup. A competition that Canberra FC will take part in very, very shortly, drawn against Broadmeadow Magic. Verkic pushes it away. Wouldn't surprise me if Broadmeadow Magic are watching a bit of this.
Well, that'll certainly be interesting to see how FC approach their game, but 25th of July, I think, isn't it? Deakin Stadium?
Namoski swings that one in, yes it is. Waters helps it clear. Should be a good test. Some good players in that Broadmeadow Magic side. See that James Vigili's there banging in the goals for them.
Yeah, I think this is one or two ex-Newcastle Central Coast players playing in that competition, and you can expect a very, very high standard from Broadmeadow, that's for sure. And the FFA Cup has just been such a wonderful competition for...
Well, loose pass here, we'll come back to that in a second. James, he's got Danning ahead of him, tried to squeeze it past Timotheu, who made up for his error, and that's a free kick. Yeah, the FFA Cup's been great for football in not just in Canberra but in Australia as a whole.
Absolutely. You know, for NPL and grassroots teams, it's been just wonderful. Gives you an opportunity to play against teams that you haven't seen before. Great stuff.
Timotheu sprays that one wide, looking for Kirklick, but Pavlak goes back to Brown. And in an age where the governing body, FFA, gets a lot of abuse, and they've been racking it up again this week with the registration fees going up. That's something they've done really well, isn't it, the FFA Cup? It's
been, apart from the A-League itself, the best innovation has been the Cup. There's no doubt about that. It's rekindled what might have been a dying interest in football in the country, certainly at this level, at our level.
Certainly going to grow as well, I think, over the years.
Yeah.
It's probably followed by Edwards. Obst is on his bike. Gerbish is there, and will probably just use his experience to see off the youngster. And a little bit of a flashpoint. Matt Gerbish wasn't happy with the youngster.
No, I think he's one card away from a suspension as well, so he just wants to be a little careful.
Maybe he doesn't fancy the trip to Griffith next week.
That's where they go.
They do. They're at Riverina Rhinos next Saturday. Canberra FC next Sunday. 3 big games: Gungahlin United versus Woden Western FC, Canberra Olympic versus Tuggeranong United, and Monero Panthers versus Tigers FC. So 3 matches again there, which will have a huge influence on the outcome of the top 4. We'll be at one of them. Don't know which one just yet.
Well, it won't be Belconnen.
With the bye.
Yep.
Probably won't be Riverina. We are going to Riverina though. A bit later in the season. I think scheduled for the 21st of July at the moment, which will be the following week against Canberra Olympic. Hopefully that comes off. That's a good ball from O'Dwyer. He's got Ronaldo in down the back here. Marco Ronaldo in on goal. Tried the same finish as before, but Brown was alert to it. And was that Kirklick on the far post screaming for a square ball.
Yeah, again, Ronaldo in behind his fullback, and he's causing him all sorts of problems. He opened his body up well to try and play the far post, but it was definitely an option to cut back, and he'd be a little disappointed that he's not seen Kirklick at the far post.
Here's O'Dwyer.
Great ball from O'Dwyer to put Ronaldo through.
I alluded to it earlier, Steve, and I was only tongue-in-cheek that Marko Verkic probably out watching Croatia-Russia early doors this morning. He's still a little bit asleep there, isn't he, at fullback?
Yeah, that could be the reason.
Here's James. He looks lively enough. Taking on Fletcher. And now Namoski. Waters. Edwards shows him the outside, and Waters is happy to take it. And Edwards does well in the ends to block the cross and concede the corner.
Underrated member of the squad there, Waters. He gives them plenty of width and quality down that left-hand side. Thomas James tends to grab all the headlines, but the work that Matt Waters puts in shouldn't be unrecognised. 3
goals for him this season as well, and he has got a decent strike with the left foot and takes a lot of their left-sided set pieces as well.
It was on the score sheet last week, I believe, in a comfortable victory.
Certainly was. Got the 4th of 5 against Monero Panthers. James to take this corner. Looks to find Danning. It's going to fall for Gerbish, who heads it back into the danger area. Edwards, at the second time of asking, hooks it clear. Kirklick helps it on his way. Timotheo. Now this is where Gungahlin can break. Here's Obst. It's 2-on-2 briefly, and he sends that ball wide to Kirklick. Subasic is chasing back, trying to close it down. 6 black shirts in the penalty area. Here's a chance as it flashes across goal. No one can get on the end of it. Comes out to Edwards. Fletcher. Canberra FC at 6s and 7s at the moment, defensively. Haven't quite got their structure back. Edwards shooting from distance, flashes one in, but was always going wide.
That's an interesting break. In transition then they were electric because they had everybody back in the penalty area from the corner. All 11 players from Gungahlin United. They've only half cleared the corner, but once they've got it under control, they've played forward quickly, got in behind Pavlak on the far side and created themselves a real opportunity. The movement into the box was a little bit one-dimensional. Otherwise they may well have capitalised.
It was 3-on-2 in there for a moment, wasn't it? And the pass picked out nobody, except for one of the red shirts on the far post. So maybe they'll chalk that one up in the chance gone begging column. Tarazi.
Good strength.
Now James. Switch to the far flank. So confident on the ball, Thomas James. And down he goes. Little shove in the back there. We'll get a free kick. I think it was Obst that conceded it.
If the players have been watching the World Cup, they should be well aware that giving away silly free kicks in dangerous areas can be absolutely dangerous.
Well, here's a chance for James again. It's better than a corner, this one. The right sort of situation where he can whip it in and look for one of the red shirts. There it is, and Subasic wins it. It came off of Griffiths' head, I think. Got just enough on it, the central defender, to help it out for a corner on this near side.
At that pace, you're just looking to change the direction of the ball, so he's done really well. He's done really well. So go zonal. It looks with the Gungahlin side. 4 across the 6-yard box, post marked. Namoski looking at stop things at the near post.
Danning's over this set piece from this side. So it'll be an outswinger. Just clips it in there. Was looking for Kier. Falls for Verkic, who drives it goalwards, but didn't get it very well on target at all. Only one goal for Verkic this season. You can probably see why with that kind of technique off the corner for the defender.
Yeah. I mean, he's in a good position to get a strike away, but
worth a go.
Worth a go. Quality missing.
He will catch one day, though, and it will fly.
Well, Colbertaldo scored one again. I mean, Colbertaldo does have that in his locker, but he did exactly the same thing against Belconnen last night, and it flew in the bottom corner.
It's often harder to hit those ones, especially on these surfaces.
Yeah.
When it comes out first time to strike it and get the technique right as well as the accuracy.
Certainly you don't begrudge the young man having a go, that's for sure.
Not in the slightest. He put his hand up to have a pop, didn't quite get it right that time. Just over half an hour gone. Danning wins the header. Kirklich and Obst exchange passes, and Kirklich tries to send it forwards, and then Timothea was involved too. Ball bouncing around in midfield. James picks it up and Namoski brings him down, and that's probably the 4th or 5th time that James has been brought down, and Paul Makel's asking the question, how many?
Well, it's interesting that the referee has not seen that as more than just a foul, because it is the accumulation. He has been brought down a number of times, and if he beats Namoski there, he's going into space and has the ability to set up a promising attack, so perhaps a card was warranted.
Alex Toomey disagreed. James takes a free kick, looking for Gerbisher on the far post, heads it into the danger area. It's loose, Danning's in there, Griffiths wins it, headed goalwards, and it's half a chance, and it's bounced in, and Michael Tarazi has Canberra FC in front. Predatory finish from Tarazi, getting on the end of it to just nod it past Denham, and it almost apologetically trickled into the back of the net.
Yeah, not the most powerful finish he'll come up with before the season's out, but Gerbisher does well at the back post to get the ball back in the middle. Gungahlin, with this sort of zonal defending, are always going to be subject to something that where a player in movement can probably get the leap on people, and Gerbisher showed that, and Tarazi in the right spot to finish off. Nice finish.
Well, they paid the penalty for another sloppy free kick. You said a couple of minutes ago, Steve, that those free kicks, you keep giving them away. They're soft ones to give away. You're going to get punished, and they have been, and it's a goal that Michael Tarazi will be very, very happy with. His 3rd league goal of the season, and Canberra FC 1-0 up. Graham sends it forward to the goal scorer.
Very similar to the goals he scored earlier against Tuggeranong at Canberra. In the right place, not at home. Not a long way out from goal, but just placed it nicely and goalkeeper given no chance.
Well, that was his last goal before this one, that round 9 goal against Tuggeranong United, the 2-2 draw at Canberra. So for Tarazi to get back on the score sheet, he'd be more than happy.
As will his uncles, the two McCaw boys.
Well, Denham has given himself a problem here. Here's Danning, Kofi Danning, and Jack Green did enough to block it, but Jason Denham holds his hand up. Not the best piece of goalkeeping.
No, we saw something, didn't we, in the, I think it was the Argentinian game in the World Cup, where the goalkeeper tried to chip it over the forward's head and the Croatian boys knocked it right in the top corner. Nearly something similar here with FC. And Danning, had he been more alert, might have finished that first time rather than trying to wait and get it under control, because Denham was miles out of position.
Just looking to see if there is any sort of breeze out there. You can see the flags on the far side there, Steve, are blowing left to right, and then if you to our left, it's blowing right to left, or sorry, the other way around. So it's a bit swirly, it looks like.
It's probably more into our faces, I think, coming this way.
James with this latest set piece towards the far post. Gerbish is in there too. Waters onto his left foot, tries his luck from distance, hits the crossbar. Keir on the rebound, but the flag's up. Wouldn't have counted anyway, but that's what Matthew Waters has in his locker.
And we're just talking about how underestimated his contributions are, and that's just some strike. I mean, it's hit the corner of post and bar. Denham beaten for all money, and very, very unlucky to not double the lead for Canberra FC. Great strike, great shot, good player.
Great hit, wasn't it? It was screaming towards that top corner. That would have been a big moment in the season. Canberra FC putting the pressure on.
Yeah, well, 35 minutes in and Canberra FC go 2 up, and you're thinking more or less game over.
Graham switches it to James, becoming more and more influential. James into the penalty area. Green lets that one bounce through to his keeper. Got the call from Denham. Marco Tarazi's goal separates the two sides 10 minutes before half-time.
And they've just established a really strong foothold now. It's a long time, or it seems a long time, since Gungahlin actually threatened the FC penalty area.
Waters, whose blistering drive that was, that came back off the crossbar. Verdikic to Danning. Tries to get away from Fletcher. Still going, Danning into the area. Green wins it. Waters. Griffiths in ahead of Tarazi. Canberra FC up in the pressure. Yeah,
they have. The goal's just lifted them a little bit, hasn't it? And they're now turning the screws somewhat. And Gungahlin just need to see out the next 5 or 10.
See if they can get themselves to half-time. Not been without their chances on the break, Gungahlin United.
And other chances will come for them. They are good in transition and on the break. And here's an opportunity now. Oh, miscommunication.
And space for Keir to find James. Tarazi in the middle, Danning with him. James taking on Griffiths. Still going, James. And yet another Canberra FC corner. And a chance for Matty Gerbisher and Daniel Sabasic to make their way forward as well.
He's hard to handle, Thomas James, is he not? His left side, right side, he torments defenders with his pace and trickery.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because I don't know, you can't man mark him because he's always all over the park. And
no, if you man mark him, he'll just take you deep into his own half. He'll go and play a lot deeper, looking for the ball in there.
And he delivers
very intelligent. Oh yeah, great. I think you were going to say
delivers a decent set piece as well.
Yeah,
he's over this one. Another decent one in. Danning was up there. Green wins it. Gerbisher beats him to the second one. Danning, the ball's bouncing around all over the place. Danning's in there. Could be 2 here. Somehow, Tarazi didn't get a toe on it. And Edwards clears.
I don't know how that stayed out.
I can only assume that Tarazi wasn't expecting Danning to get the ball, squeeze it between defender and goalkeeper.
It looked
he was on his heels.
Yeah, looked odds on a tap-in. 2-0. Gungahlin live again.
Credit to Kai Edwards for his defensive work there as well. Could have been easy to panic with that ball fizzing across the 6-yard box. Here he is. Now obsed. Kirklick hugging the touchline.
Just
not keeping that in.
I don't think it's a bad idea to get Obst on the ball in those sorts of areas, though. I like him as a creative influence in games. He hasn't done much for them today, but if they can get him in the right areas on the ball, I think he can create for them.
Kirklick was involved again there, and Pavlak just thrashes it up the field. Michael Tarazi's goal on 33 minutes, separating the sides here at Gungahlin enclosed. Kirklick to Edwards. Nice step over to get away from the first marker, but Gerbischer reads it.
Might have been the use of a hand in there as well, I thought.
Gungahlin United have 6 minutes to find a way back into this one before half-time.
As they attack the Bunnings warehouse.
There's the Magnet Mart Home Timber and Hardware Bunnings warehouse end, I think, Steve. We decided last week.
Yeah.
Mentioned it before in commentary in Gungahlin. That Bunnings warehouse is huge. Look at the size of it, Steve.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Green monolith at the back end of Gungahlin enclosed, casting its corporate shadow.
Oh my God.
Across the playing surface.
As Gibbs waxes lyrical about Bunnings warehouse.
I'm expecting a 10% off voucher in the post. Sam Brown, who's been relatively untested. He's saved once from Ronaldo.
Yeah, really only beaten from the offside goal. He's not been the busiest of keepers.
So a couple of goal kicks to take, and this latest one looks for Waters, who hit the crossbar moments ago. Green sends that towards O'Dwyer. Nice little touch from O'Dwyer. Ronaldo asking questions of Verkic, and the defender answering them well.
Yeah, but he's asked questions all games in the first half. He's been their most effective attacker down this left-hand side. Unfortunately, they haven't got full reward.
Namoski beaten to it by Waters. Now here's a chance. It's 4-on-4, and Waters gives it away, and that's when the advantage doesn't work for you, isn't it? Here's Timotheu. Sebastian slips at an inopportune time. The ball's worked wide. Here's Namoski on that left foot into the penalty area. Good touch from Gerbischer. Needed to be. James on the break. And Tarazi goes down off the ball in a clash with Griffiths.
And I think Alex McConaughey's seen what happened, and the free kick will be given. The significant difference to my mind, Russ, in these two teams is that in transition, Gungahlin United are very, very quick. And the midfield of Ian Graham and Ryan Keir doesn't have that same sort of pace in transition. But they do have the experience and quality to play themselves into good spots.
They're solid midfield pairing, aren't they?
Yeah.
6 league goals between them as well, so
making all sorts of contributions.
Contributions at both ends of the park. Ian Graham looking incredibly fit this season as well.
He's and like Matt Waters, he gets through a power of work.
James looking for Danning, who won the header. Couldn't direct it goalwards though. The flag was up anyway for offsides.
Yes.
Gungahlin bench going through the motions, out of shot to our right there, Steve, and Thomas Muller is an obvious change if it stays this way.
Well, he's had a good season so far in front of goal, and he does add a little bit of power and pace in that front third, and one can imagine that if they're still in the game with sort of half an hour, 25 minutes to go, that they might turn to him and try and get something out of it.
Green with the throw. Was lucky to get that after Denham played him into a bit of trouble. Graham missed it.
Sorry, yeah, we do know that Gungahlin can play for 90 minutes plus, as we saw last week. So if they're still in the game with a few minutes to go, you wouldn't write them off.
It was an incredible finish here. Just 7 days ago, Tigers thought they had won it in the 94th minute when Christian Juna scored at the goal to our left, and Ben Obst equalised 3 minutes later. In the 97th minute, virtually the last kick of the game. I think we just had time to kick off, didn't we? And then that was it.
Yeah, last kick, wasn't it? Last kick.
Tigers FC asking questions afterwards about where that 7 minutes came from.
Well, part of it was the delay when they celebrated the goal in the 94th.
Yeah, I think Alex Ollerigby was down for a couple as well, if I remember rightly. But anyway, that was last week. This is now, and it's Gungahlin 0, Canberra FC 1. Gerbischer in hard on Obst. Thrown for Gungahlin in the shadows of half-time, about a minute and a half to go in this first half, plus we'll say of a stoppage time. Alex Toomey wants to add on. Fletcher, nice touch to Kirklick. Steps away from Gerbischer. Chance for Obst on the overlap. He goes down under the challenge, and a free kick in a dangerous position for Gungahlin. Opportunity perhaps for Jack Green to get forward. He hasn't been afforded that chance yet.
Dangerous position though for Gungahlin. They'll be looking to find Green, they always do, and he's more than capable of at least setting one up, if not poaching one himself. We saw it in the FFA Cup final that he got in behind them and set up Ronaldo.
Namoski over the set piece, swings it in. Green was in there, so was Griffiths. Canberra FC scramble it away. James, looked like a handball against Kai Edwards. And Canberra FC will be in no rush to take this one. Happy to take their lead into the interval.
Yeah, so as we approach half-time, I mean, don't know what you think, but it's in a sort of subdued first 45 minutes where both teams have created chances, both teams have had opportunities, but realistically, one goal to FC is probably a fair reflection of what's happened in the first half. There's been long periods of this game where there was a midfield battle that neither team seemed to dominate, and it doesn't surprise you that the goal, when it came as a result of a set piece.
We were here last year for Canberra FC Gungahlin, Steve. Don't know if you remember when Kofi Danning had an afternoon to forget. Could have had 6, couldn't he?
Yes, he had chance after chance, did he not?
Well, here's Namoski, opportunity for the Gunners in behind into the penalty area. James has to get there and does. Prods it away from the first defender and passes second. Some red shirts flooding forward to help him in support. Still going, James, and he goes down under the challenge, gets a free kick, and Kai Edwards goes in the book.
Yeah, a little bit of inexperience against the streetwise knowledge of Mr. James there, because I think he played for that.
He definitely did. He leant into that one. He looked up, saw there was no support, but it was a foul, but he definitely looked for it. Drew the foul, I think you'd say.
Yeah, and I think, Edwards stopped their last attack with a handball, and then he's brought this one down with a soft foul against James, so probably left Toomey with no choice but to bring out the yellow card.
Into stoppage time at the end of the first half. Thomas James lining up a free kick very much within range for FC's top goal scorer.
Well, at this stage of the first half, why not have a ping?
It is James up and over the wall and smashes that way, way, way off target, but not his finest moment. But at the end of the half, they can look back and go, well, pretty happy with their afternoon's work so far. Yeah,
I think so. They after the goal, they certainly pushed on and established a little bit of dominance. Gungahlin have had chances on the break, but I think 1-0 FC is a fair reflection.
At the moment, Canberra FC going 1 point clear at the top of the table with a game in hand. We still have 45 minutes of football, though, for you on Bar TV Sports. But a goal from Michael Tarazi after 33 minutes, reacting quickest to a penalty box scramble, leaves the scoreline at Gungahlin enclosed. Gungahlin United 0, Canberra FC 1. Welcome back to Gungahlin Enclosed, where we're almost set for the second half of this live NPL football match between Gungahlin United and Canberra FC. Here from the nation's capital, I'm Russ Gibbs, your commentator. Steve Forshaw with me, as usual, for the second half. Steve, and looking forward to this second half. Canberra FC leading. Where can Gungahlin find a way back into this?
Look, I think Ronaldo's caused problems down the left-hand side, and as we were talking during the break, perhaps they can use that a little bit more than what they have and to better effect. O'Dwyer needs to be getting into better areas in the box for them. But bottom line is they've got nothing to lose now, so they might as well go and chase this game with some intent.
They tried to do that straight from the kickoff. Tom Kirklick involved. Gungahlin United's team, Denham in goal. Edwards, Green and Griffiths across the back. Obst, Timotheo, Namoski, Fletcher in midfield. Ronaldo, O'Dwyer, Kirklick up front. Canberra FC, Brown in goal, Verkic, Sabasic, Gerbischer and Pavlak across the back. Midfield four of James, Graham, Keir and Waters up front, Danning and the goal scorer Tarazi. Sam Brown looking for Tarazi, beaten in the air by Timotheo. Pavlak just hoiks that one into the sky. Griffiths gets a slight nudge from Tarazi. Should mention today, Steve, as well, small matter of the Kanga Cup opening ceremony. 350 teams, I believe, from around Australia gathering in Canberra for the preeminent youth football tournament in the Southern Hemisphere. Yeah,
fantastic, isn't it? I mean, the not only the local football community, but the all of Canberra benefits from having that many teams and that many visitors to the capital. And it's a competition that's grown in stature over the years, and now it's, as you suggest, the most preeminent junior competition probably in the Southern Hemisphere.
Griffiths for Gungahlin United. I'm sure many of these boys out here on the field took part in that competition throughout their formative years. Griffiths with Danning. Was out there last night at the AIS for the call for the Canberra United Academy, Belconnen, and they had the Kanga Cup Referees Academy behind us, and they had 45 officials from around Australia, 3 locals, 42 from around Australia and New Zealand, staying for a week in Canberra as well, getting referee tuition at the same time and networking, so that's great for them as well at a young level to get that kind of exposure.
It's not just about what you do with the ball, is it? I mean, there's a lot of development in different areas of the game, and the referees can benefit from those sort of high intensity tournaments like the Kanga Cup is.
Well, they were all out there yesterday doing their stretches and going through a fairly vigorous routine and a bit of training as well before Kanga Cup started today, so good luck to all the teams and officials taking part in that. Here's Fletcher, men's NPL football live from Canberra. Canberra FC, Canberra's participants in the FFA Cup, leading Gungahlin 1-0. Green foraging forward. O'Dwyer arrived. Didn't get enough of it.
No, he didn't, but it was much better. He got into a good spot, and he's got on the end of that surging run from Jack Green, and his Jack Green, as we know, all left foot. Quality ball into the penalty area and almost paid dividends.
Pavlak, another who's mostly all left foot, was looking for Tarazi. Brighter start from Gungahlin in this half. Graham battles with Obst. Fletcher. Green. Now Timotheo. Griffiths.
Yeah, I think Timotheo is just playing a little bit too deep for him. I know he's trying to get close to the back three and get on the ball so that he can create things for them from a little bit deeper, but it may be the defensive block, they said, is very, very deep, and perhaps they could actually push him on a little bit higher
and unleash those shots he's got in his locker that's seen him score 5 times across league and cup this season. Keir finds Danning, back to Keir again. Waters showed for it. Danning with the right foot drive, and it was dipping as Denham got down. Held it nicely.
Difference between the two sides, though, isn't it? That FC on the break end up with a strike.
Gerbischer. Verkic almost turned into trouble, but Sam Brown was the outlet. Fletcher lets that one go over his head. Green gave him the call. Timotheo looking for an option, finds Edwards. Kirklick. Edwards once more. Has to go back to Griffiths, and he's going to be forced to go all the way back to Denham. As we know, Gungahlin not afraid to pass the ball around and keep possession. Sooner or later, though, they're going to need to find a penetrating pass in the final third. Timotheo, is he the man to find it? Look for O'Dwyer. Tarazi, whose goal is the difference. Gets away from Green. Danning makes the run. Flag goes up, though. Close one.
Yeah, not every day you'll see somebody turn Jack Green as easily as that, but that's the strength of Michael Tarazi. Very, very difficult to get off the ball.
Danning just mistimed that run. They've got to be careful. They know all about Kofi Danning, of course. Gungahlin United.
Yeah, certainly. Certainly. Been a thorn in the side this year.
Was, of course, Kofi Danning's goals in the FFA Cup final that took Canberra FC to the round of 32 of the national competition. Goals at the end of both halves. In that one for him. James. Looking to slide in Tarazi. Beautifully done. James wants a return. Tarazi on the turn himself. Didn't quite get enough of power behind the shot, and it trickled past the post, but James again causing all sorts of issues.
I mean, another cheap turnover, though. I mean, one of the frustrating things about Gungahlin, I'm sure, for the neutral, is that they have a tendency to over-possess and play backwards. But on that occasion, they've tried to play a pass and they've mishit it straight to James, and he's actually caused all sorts of problems. And having played the pass to Tarazi, continued his run. And, you know, had Michael Tarazi sort of laid him in again, they'd probably get in for 2-0.
Namoski gives it away. Verkic. Now Waters. Nicely done by Waters. Graham. Bit of space for him to work in. James. Only Danning in the middle at the moment. Griffiths blocks it off, and away can come Kirklick. Obst makes the run out wide. He's away from Pavlak, but he's not away from Gerbischer, who concedes a free kick on the second attempt.
And no need to, really.
It's a cheap free kick that cost Gungahlin a goal in the first half. Looking to make amends here. Fletcher. Oh, Namoski takes his eye off the ball, unfortunately. 7 minutes gone, live on Bar TV Sports. Men's NPL football from Canberra. Gungahlin United 0, Canberra FC 1. At the moment, Canberra FC going top of the table with a game in hand, thanks to a goal from Tarazi. In possession. Looking very lively today, Michael Tarazi. Yeah. It's amazing what a goal does for your confidence.
Absolutely. I mean, for the first time in a long time, he's got his body in reasonable condition, and Canberra FC reaping the benefits of that.
We wish him luck. That it stays that way for at least the rest of this season and for many more years to come. Edwards, Griffiths, now Obst, Timotheo. It's all a bit crowded in there, though, for Gungahlin.
It is. It was just the wrong option at that time, but I think Timotheo in those areas, a little higher up the park, as I was suggesting earlier, is the way to go.
Ronaldo looking to get involved with Namoski, and Graham wins the midfield battle on that occasion. Start looking towards substitutions, I think, in the next 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah, a lot of coaches tend to look at the 60-minute mark for the first change, depending on how things are going, of course. Good switch. James is back doing his defensive duties as well, and that's what impresses a lot of observers about Thomas James. Yeah. It's not just at that end of the field, the pointy end, where he does most of his damage, that he works. Look, he does. He can have games where he's largely a passenger. You think he's out of the game, but when he's on song, his work rate is as good as his ability on the ball. Here he is again. Pavlak. Waters has peeled away. Looking for James. Griffiths has come across, though. Now Edwards. Have Gungahlin got something in an attacking sense? Timotheo. Looks a ball over the top. Ronaldo's got in. Behind here is a chance. Brown's come. Good goalkeeping from Sam Brown. He was confident to get there. Unorthodox way to clear it with his knee, but effective. Absolutely, and just a slight hesitation on the part of Michael Ronaldo there when he saw the big keeper coming. But at least a pass that got him in behind and showed the way perhaps forward for Gungahlin United. If they can play a little bit more direct, they might open something up.
Timotheo again making the ball forwards towards Obst, swings it towards the far post. Chance here. Good defending by Subasic. Timotheo. Obst. Into the area, Ben Obst. Keir's in there. Wins it. Now here's a chance on the break. It's 3v3. Edwards needs to get back to help. It's James. FC slow in support, but one of them who's there is Waters. Will Danning get there? No, because Green does first. But Danning shows his work rate and ethic to get back. And well, that's a really miss-hit ball back from Kofi Danning, who's conceded a corner from halfway.
An interesting move, that. I mean, he's worked his socks off to get back in front of Jack Green, and then for some strange reason decided that the path back to Brown was the best option, and unfortunately for him, we get a corner out of it.
Kofi Danning's done many things in an illustrious career that span the A-League as well. That's probably not on his highlights reel.
No.
What can Gungahlin do from the set piece? Looking for Green as he comes in, but Brown wins it over the head of Green and O'Dwyer. Wanted to go early to James, but there's a player down injured. Is it Gerbesher?
I think so, yeah.
But it's funny, isn't it? In a game where they've struggled to create chances themselves. You mentioned Timotheo playing further forward. It's his two passes in the last 2 minutes that have got them into positions. It's often an error of judgment, like Kofi Danning's done there, that gives teams an opportunity to get back into games.
Absolutely, absolutely. They're commonly referred to as coach killers. You saw it. You saw it with Namoski letting the ball roll under his foot, going out for a throw-in, and the level of exasperation on the bench, on the Gungahlin bench, goes through the roof. Then you see Kofi Danning, who's done 9/10 of a good job, and then that little 1%er puts them under pressure when there's no need.
Well, change for Gungahlin United. They're the first to twist. Ben Bassasilk comes on for James Fletcher.
Got a knock earlier on, a few minutes ago, and I think he hasn't quite recovered from that. Ben Bassasilk provides width on the left-hand side, silky touches, so from a silky player called Bassasilk.
Well, Fletcher's usually very effervescent, isn't he, and lively. It's not been his quite usual self today. I wonder if he's still struggling from that heavy knock that he got last week. Early involvement from Bassasilk up against Waters. And it's the red-shirted Canberra FC man who wins it, the battle there. Here's Tarazi. Waters. Nicely trapped back by Timotheo to win the ball.
I think Fletcher was asked to play a little bit deeper today, and that's sort of taken the edge off his game, and we see Bassasilk dropping into an almost run-of-the-mill left-back spot when they're defending, and that's where Fletcher operated in defence too, and I think that just took something away from his game.
Reasonable crowd in the main grandstand here at Gungahlin today, Stephen. A fair few standing around by the pitch as well. Can't really see it in the camera shot because obviously this field an AFL oval as well. Graham heads it back into the mixer, and Namoski brings it away and looks for the runner, who's Ronaldo. Subasic was alert to the danger. Gerbesher sends it forward to Tarazi. Does well. Gerbesher. He was looking for Waters. Keir's there as well. Every loose ball is picked up by a red shirt at the moment.
I was just thinking that the same thing, that they broke reasonably well. Then Namoski tried to play Ronaldo in, but the first ball's won by FC, second ball's won by FC, and then I think Gungahlin is so used to playing pretty football from the back that they don't get forward enough to actually help the front three if it's played more directly.
That's a more direct pass from Edwards. Looking for Ronaldo. He's definitely going to have the pace to get past Verkic, but not to get past Gerbesher. Keir wins that loose ball, just as Steve was saying a moment ago. The second ball won by an FC shirt. Verkic sends it forward. Even that's found an FC shirt in Tarazi. Waters, can he prod this wide to James? Danning's made the run. If he stays onside, there's an opportunity. Chance for Danning to go at Griffiths, and Griffiths committed to it and did well. Had to make the challenge, otherwise Danning was gone.
But once again, we see FC a little bit hungrier to get to that second ball, and realistically, Gungahlin, if they want to be in the game.
Danning battling away. FC bench wanted a free kick. Ronaldo. Namoski ahead of him. Bounce crucial, won by Subasic. Verkic back to Gerbesher. And Dwyer, is that... No, that's... who stayed down there, Steve?
Namovsky. After the challenge with Sebastian.
Did he land awkwardly?
I think he might have just got a little bit of a bump in the back, and it may have been exacerbated by the way he landed, but I think a little bit of a cork round about the gluteus maximus might be the medical description.
Reminder of next week's action. Round 14 in the Men's National Premier League starts on Saturday. Riverina Rhinos versus Canberra FC. On Sunday, the 15th of July, 3 matches. Monero Panthers take on Tigers FC. Gungahlin United take on Woden Western. And Canberra Olympic versus Tuggeranong United. It's just going to get closer and closer, this top 4 race, Steve. And I don't think it's going to be settled before the final rounds of the season.
No, I think... like I was saying earlier on, I think the top 2 have sort of established enough of a break that they can be comfortable. Certainly they're going to finish in the top 4, and the top 2 may, in fact, just stay the same, but the order will change, and they're not due to play each other now until after the season proper finishes, and that could well be the decider for the minor premiership. Yeah,
last round of the season, after the final round, a postponed round 1 game when O'Connor and Close wasn't available. Brown goes forward. The good thing about all these games coming up and all these matches being so close is we're going to have pseudo knockout matches before we actually get to the knockout phase in the finals football.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is going to be great.
So there's all the tension of finals football before you even
get there, which is going to be great for the neutral. Less so for the manager's heart rate. Here's Danning looking for James. Obston Edwards on him. Third shirt in there, Kirklich going back to help out as well. Keir, Graham, Verkic, shooting chance for him. Better contact than the first half, but denied by Bassa Silk. But James there drew 3 shirts in there. I wasn't sure Kirklich needed to get involved.
That's the status of the man in the local competition. Most teams will double team him. Gungahlin have gone 1 extra man.
Great thing about Bar TV Sports is that we can see teams like Broadmeadow Magic. We can look at their videos as well from their Northern New South Wales football competition, and they can do the same down here. They'll be aware of the threats that the teams pose each other. Yeah. Gone are the days when you could just turn up and surprise teams.
No, it's a lot more open now, isn't it? The information that's available nowadays leaves yesteryear for dead.
Thomas Muller is coming on for Miško Namovsky. I was just thinking about that with the World Cup the other day, Steve. Back in the 80s and 90s, you didn't know anything about the opposition teams in the World Cup. It was all a bit of a mystery and a surprise. Nowadays, you know everything there is to know about everybody. Here's Verkic. Clips it into the penalty area. Green wins it. It's going to fall for Keir, and he's penalised for handball.
Yeah, the world of football's changed dramatically. I mean, if you look at the science that's now employed, I was reading an article during the week that Gareth Southgate had actually broken down teams that they were playing against, penalty takers, what they did, how they moved, the psychology of it all. And he'd worked closely with his in his England team, and they were able to break the so-called curse against Colombia.
It was inevitable, Steve, because as we all know, it's coming home. Thought I'd chuck that one in there for all those England fans out there. Here's Edwards. I'm sure there'll be plenty of Croatian supporters thinking likewise, and Belgian and French as well.
Well, you don't get to the World Cup semi-finals if you can't play, and all 4 of them have demonstrated that they're worthy of a semi-final berth. All to play for now, though, as we do here.
Yeah, plenty to go here. 25 minutes plus. James Edwards back to challenge, and James bundles him over. A little bit of frustration there from the forwards, and he's done himself a disservice as well.
That looks like a quad injury, perhaps.
It did, didn't it? Look, he pulled up. He looks in a bit of pain there. Edwards goes back to Griffiths.
There was some talk, Russ, not long ago, and I think you even might have mentioned it in social media, that he may have been going for trials with an A-League club.
Yeah, Newcastle Jets expressed an interest. I think that's something they may take up again towards the end of our season here in Canberra. Of course, the A-League season doesn't start for quite some time. Speaking of the A-League, Canberra's bid shortlisted for the decision in late October, and hopefully, fingers crossed, there's good news there. I mean, obviously all the talk is about a Brisbane franchise, a Sydney franchise, another Melbourne franchise, but I don't think you can call the A-League a national competition until we have a team in the national capital. Now I'm biased, obviously.
Well, I join you in that sentiment, because I don't know that there is anywhere in the world where the capital isn't represented in the primary competition within a country.
Well, the New Zealand capital is represented.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, good news so far, but a lot of water's got to flow under the bridge yet before a final decision can be made.
Absolutely. I know a fair few of the bid team now, and they seem like a very switched-on bunch, and they know what they want to do and what they're trying to achieve, and the community-owned ethos behind that club will make a big difference. Here's Gungahlin looking to make a difference here with Kirklick. Switch to that flank. Bassa Silk. Green. And Timotheo finds Griffiths. Keeps the ball moving to this side to Muller, his first real involvement. Griffiths. Possession is good, but eventually they need someone to make a move forward. Edwards, Danning and Kira on his back, and he's found Timotheo. Now, is this the moment where Gungahlin can strike? Griffiths clips it towards O'Dwyer, brings Timotheo into play. Better build up this. Here's Obst into the penalty area. Chance here. Flag went up against Ronaldo anyway, but much better in the build-up for Gungahlin United. Nice and patient until they needed to just make the game that little bit quicker, and then when they did accelerate, they got into a good spot through Obst. Unfortunately, nothing's come of it. Ronaldo running just marginally offside, but much better football, much better possession, much better penetration. Thomas James, just in front of us here, is looking a little bit groggy from that knock he sustained. Obvious change is Michael Mensah to play in that role, I guess, with maybe Tarazi coming a bit wider and Mensah through the middle. If required, of course. If required. I could conceivably stick Brunskill in there as well, I guess. Keir wins the header. Danning beaten to it. Here's Obst. Nicely done. Muller wanted the free kick. Gerbischer gave him a little nudge in the back, but good defending from the experienced FC stopper. Here he is again. Doesn't get there this time, but he's helped out by Subasic. Gungahlin United looking to put on the pressure halfway through the second half, live on Bar TV Sports. Gungahlin enclosed. Gungahlin 0, Canberra FC 1, a goal from Michael Tarazi after 33 minutes. The only difference between these two teams. Edwards, Muller. Bassa Silk did well, but is charged down by Graham. Now here's a chance. If he switches it to this near side, he finds Danning. It's 3-on-2 for a moment for Canberra FC's favour. Gungahlin shirts back in numbers now. Waters leaves it for James. Thomas James still with the football. Now Waters couldn't wrap his foot around that, and it's a let-off for Gungahlin. We might see more of those kind of breaks as they push for an equaliser. And James has had a clash with Ben Obst there, and he gets himself a yellow card. All rather unnecessary, Steve. Yep, yeah, a little bit of frustration coming in. I mean, both teams have actually been guilty recently in the most recent attacks of just slowing things down when they might have played a little bit quicker. We saw Muller get caught in possession, or turn possession over in the last Gungahlin attack, and then Thomas James had done something similar going the other way. And both coaches will be expecting a little bit more from their charges. Up towards O'Dwyer, beaten in the air by Subasic. Graham clashed in the midfield with Obst, who went down clutching his face in agony. No doing, says Alex Toomey. Here's Danning. Griffiths is involved with him. Obst is still down off the ball. Verkic is going to need to chase this. Now, if there was any contact there, I think it was probably accidental. I think he might have hurt his shoulder when he landed as much as anything else. He just seems to be holding his left shoulder there. So I don't think there was anything that Ian Graham did that caused the problem. It's just the rather sudden halt when you hit the ground. He is clutching his shoulder, isn't he?
Yeah.
Doesn't look that good for him. He's very limp by his side, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
there's a yellow card coming out here for someone, either Jack Green or Timotheu. Not entirely sure what that's all about.
No. Something might have been said, I guess.
I guess so. Not sure who that was, but we'll find out, I guess, if there's another one. I think it was all to do with the landing. You're quite right, Steve.
Yeah.
Benham's not the kind of player to fake an injury.
Oh, I don't think he was, no.
I think it was one of those things where his landing coincided with the challenge and everyone thought he was maybe putting it on a bit. Here come the Gunners. Playing with 10 at the moment. Kirklich. And Gerbischer sends this one into the main grandstand. In fact, it's almost stayed in play.
Almost brought snow.
Feels like there's snow coming, doesn't it? There's been a lot in the mountains over the last couple of days. It's quite cold in Canberra, if you haven't noticed.
I have.
Sure, everyone who listens to our broadcast every week hears us talk about how cold it is. It's actually reasonably mild today, isn't it, compared to what it has been?
If you like -3.
Standard. Better than the, in inverted commas, heat wave of 28 degrees every day they're having in the UK at the moment. Such a panic stations for them.
It's caused bushfires and all sorts. I didn't think they had bush.
They were talking today, and this is completely off topic, but they've upgraded the national. It's 1 point off a national disaster apparently, because the heat wave's gone for 2 weeks at 28 degrees. I was listening to the news on the way here. It's 28 degrees in Darwin in winter. Wish it was 28 degrees here.
Fahrenheit, it probably is.
Here's Green. Denham. Looks for Griffiths.
All a bit pedestrian. Needs a bit of life put into it.
Must be if we're talking about the weather.
Yeah, that's right.
Brown. Well, took a chance, so Dwyer closed him down. Here's Verkic. Gets away from Ronaldo. Probably could do with some floodlights soon. Here's Keir. 3 red shirts ahead of him. One of them is James. Lovely turn away from Edwards. Thomas James onto the right foot. Thomas James with a shot. Falls for Waters, who drives one, but that's always off target as well. But better.
Well, shooting opportunities arisen, so we can't complain too much, but both teams are just... FC seem to be settling for 1-0 and keeping what they've got, and Gungahlin don't seem to have the ideas that they need to actually create something different. I think they'll be looking to the bench now for Marcel Munoz to tweak things and really give them some impetus as we go into the last 20-odd minutes or so.
He's made the 2 changes. He's only got 1 left. And he's got Eli Howe, Hayden Ty and Gabriel Ayul. So 3 very young talents.
Yeah. And Eli Howe's a defender, so it's unlikely that they're going to bring him in to look for an equaliser. But Ayul is quite an attractive, creative player.
Well, it may be their final change. We'll see what they do. At the moment, Bassasil, one of the changes, is trying to challenge with Danning. Griffiths ambling back to get away from James. Does well to step away from the English forwards and find Edwards, who promptly gives it away to Ryan Keir.
He's been quietly effective again in the middle of the park.
Danning. Edwards on his back, looking for the free kick, and Edwards concedes it. Danning using his years of experience there to win his team a free kick in a dangerous position. Chance for James to swing this one in, and for Subasic, who's the only one jogging forward with Verkic, in fact. Gerbischer staying at home.
I think they've learned some lessons from the FFA Cup final, because they got caught on the break a couple of times in that game by sending too many players forward, but they're actually keeping good numbers back now, and it's unlikely that they're going to get caught out that way. Certainly.
To say Gabriel Ayul has come on. I didn't see who's wandered off. Is it Obst? With the shoulder? I think it may have been.
Yeah. Don't think he came back on, did he?
I don't think he did, no. They were playing with 10 for a little bit. James has got the free kick here for Canberra in a dangerous position. 5 red shirts on the far stick. Clips it in towards that area. It's hit Ryan Keir in the face, I think.
Just got a little flick off Griffiths, I think.
Yeah, right into the chops. That's a falcon and a half.
Yeah.
On a cold day.
Might have given him a blood nose.
So yeah, may have opened him up a bit there. Ryanke's good in the air, but not that good.
No.
So that's the last change, Steve. Jacob Ayul.
Well, good opportunity for the young man. I think he was a former.
So I should say
player.
Gabriel Ayul.
Yeah, Gabriel Ayul. I think he joined Gungahlin this year from Canberra FC, where he'd been playing under 18s, under 20s.
Well, there is two Ayuls. He's got an older brother, Jacob,
and I think,
as well.
I think his younger brother plays in the under 18s.
Does he?
I think so.
There you go.
Yeah. I think so. I could be wrong.
Footballing family.
Yeah.
Plenty of which there are in Canberra, of course. Ben Bassasilk, who's out there, his sister Grace Bassasilk, plays for Canberra Olympic in the women's team. They're in action this afternoon against Canberra FC. Important game in the Women's National Premier League. And Ryan Keir definitely got a bit of blood there, a bit of claret pouring out of the nose. Thanks very much to Lachlan Griffiths for flicking that onto his face. Be a cold one, wouldn't it?
You could do without it.
Especially any day of the week.
I think there's only one place worse to get hit on a cold day.
It's a family broadcast, so we won't mention where it is, but I think everybody knows what you're talking about.
Yeah, Woden Park.
Yeah, Woden Park, absolutely. Good ball forward, looking for Ayul. He's in here, and there's a high foot as Brown came out to win it. Falls for Muller. Kirklick. Timotheu. Ayul. Bassasilk. Gungahlin pressuring into the area. Timotheu's there, and Pavlak just sees it back to Brown. They want a back pass, but I think it rather hit Pavlak rather than he playing it deliberately. Here's James, looking to use his pace. Firm challenge from Edwards, and he comes away with the ball as well. Ayul looked lively. He's only been on a minute or so.
He's had plenty of touches in the first 60 seconds.
Timotheu and Graham, two midfield warriors battling in the middle of the park. Tarazi finds Danning. James, FC looking to get Ryan Keir back into the action. James does brilliantly again. Verkic, space to work for the fullback. Switches to this near side to Keir, who's literally just come back on the field into an attacking position. Danning. Ayul tracks him. Keir. Exchange of passes with Danning, and all get a bit congested.
Yeah, just trying to bounce it, drag people in before going.
Well, Canberra FC fans not happy.
It did look like a Canberra FC throw.
To everybody in the ground except for Alex McConaughey and Alex Toomey in the middle.
Yes, round Alex and thin Alex got it wrong between them, I think, that time.
Won't say which one's which. Timotheo, lovely switch. Verkic is there though. It's a bit harsh, Steve, to be fair. Looks in decent shape, does Mr. McConaughey.
Oh, he's always been in good shape.
And he's a lot closer than we are, given the benefit of the doubt. As we like to do to our officials, who I think have actually had a good game today.
Can't complain, that's for sure. Cannot complain.
No changes for SC as yet, and we're coming into the final 13 minutes of this one. No real movement either from the bench. All the old heads are just rugged up.
They might be just saying that let's not bother.
Graham battling in the midfield again. Ronaldo gives the ball away to Waters, who's been quietly effective once more, as he generally is in a red shirt. Graham looks to swing it this way towards Danning. Lovely ball over the head of Edwards. Here's Danning. Tried to hook it back into the middle, but Griffiths was there.
It's a tactic they've used more than once today, isn't it? Get into midfield and then look for that diagonal.
Now Ayul, it's opening up a little bit for Gungahlin. Into the area, Gabriel Ayul. But FC clear it. Space of Bassasilk. Midfield's gone missing from both teams at the moment. Bassasilk, lovely touch from Timothea, but Graham was there. Asked a lot of Gerbischer. Pavlak clears. No one could get their foot on it. Danning helps it forward. Important touch from Griffiths. Now Bassasilk swings it into the penalty area. Gerbischer wins the header.
Not the tactic to employ against FC. Gerbischer and Sebastic will murder that sort of delivery.
Back towards Bassasilk again.
But they are exerting some pressure, and maybe there is something in it for them.
Swung into the penalty area. Gerbischer wins the header. Smash clear. Up towards James. Gungahlin exerting some pressure, Steve.
Yeah, they've enjoyed a good spell the last few minutes, but they haven't really tested the keeper, and that's what's missing. And they're just putting things into the box.
Where Oyul is arriving. Sorry there, Steve. It was almost half chance for Gabriel Oyul on the far post. Getting a result in from the Women's National Premier League, and this is a big result in the scheme of it. Canberra Olympic 4, Canberra FC 2. So Canberra Olympic, who needed the win, have got one against a Canberra FC side who were second in the ladder before today, and Canberra Olympic right back into finals contention.
Yeah, they'll be delighted with that. I think Belconnen women's team, I think, are on top of that particular competition, and that probably puts them really in pole position now for minor premiership if it hasn't sealed it already.
Well, their 5-1 win last night when they scored 3 in 4 minutes certainly helped.
Yeah. They're a very good side. Very good side. If anybody's seen them play, they can really play.
Change for Canberra FC with 10 minutes to go. Ross Costanzo joins the fray for Ryan Keir. Bit more defensive cover there, Steve.
Yeah, a little bit more mobility. I think Ryan Keir having get a knock on the old snoz, and just lacks that little bit of mobility. And while Gungahlin are exerting a bit of pressure, maybe it's time for some fresh legs.
Ian Graham rolling back the years with a cracking tackle on Gabriel Oyul, who certainly helped stretch the game here for Gungahlin since his introduction. Here he is again. Runs into traffic on that occasion. And Graham brings it away to Tarazi, who tried to take it in his stride but bounced over his foot. Into the final 7 minutes. Have Gungahlin United got a response? They got one last week when we didn't think they had one up their sleeve. Kirklick. Muller was in there. Throw in for Gungahlin. They're pushing numbers forward. Running the risk of getting caught on the break, of course, but why not at this stage?
Nothing to lose now. I mean, you know,
Bassa Silk.
Maximum of 10 minutes to go with their injury time. Caution to the wind. You might as well get beat 2-0 as 1.
Bassa Silk again. Positive changes that Marcel Munoz has made, and they made an impact. The two wide players in particular. Ronaldo, great challenge. Verkic looks for James. Whistle's gone, and Alex Toomey stops the match as a player that injured Ronaldo down there.
Just got caught in the challenge with Verkic, but it was a good challenge and might just have caught him across the shins.
Paul Maycor not happy. He's wondering why we stopped the game for that, considering that James was flicking the ball on towards where Danning was. It's not a head injury as such.
Does look in a bit of pain though, the young fella.
Certainly does, doesn't he? Yeah. Look, I think you caught him on the follow-through, as he said, so always a nasty one on a cold day.
Yeah, he may even have rolled an ankle.
She's back in the day when you'd have played, and I was a bit younger as well, Stephen. I was playing when those studs caught you on a cold day with those heavy footballs as well.
I know.
Hurts.
I once headed one when I was a kid, like an old case ball, waterlogged gun. I'm still recovering. Some people say I haven't.
I was just about to say. Still reverberates around now. I can hear it rattling around, mate. We got 7 minutes to go. Gungahlin have the ball, Oyul, and they are going to give it back to Canberra FC. Eventually, went from one keeper to the other.
I don't know why FC didn't just keep it.
Seems a bit strange, doesn't it? Anyway, Brown sends it forward. Edwards is under it. Comes off his thigh, finds Timotheu. Bassa Silk sprays one down the channel for O'Dwyer to chase. Subasic is across with him. Tireless work again from O'Dwyer this afternoon. Here's Bassa Silk. Kirklick. Oyul's this near side, and peeling away was Edwards. James got a foot into it. Two shirts around him again. James happy to use his strength and skill to get away, and he's away from a second challenge as well, and that's beautifully done by James. And here's Costanzo. Muller tracking back with him. Verkic. And Canberra FC throw, but Fantastic stuff from Thomas James.
Yeah, he's done the two defenders like a dog's dinner there, and then set up a promising attack.
Costanzo not quite up with the pace of the game at the moment. Going to see a second change for Canberra FC shortly. Wouldn't surprise me if that's the end for Thomas James. And Michael Mensah about to join the fray.
He's played very well again, Thomas James. He hasn't got himself on the score sheet today, but he has had a very, very good game.
Michael Mensah, different type of player to Thomas James, no less a skillful and a big unit as well.
He brings a lot of power, a lot of pace, a lot of technique to the game. And
coaching the under-20s at Canberra FC now as well, and enjoying it from what I've heard, and the players responding well to him.
They are indeed. They are indeed.
Pavlak slid in, didn't win it. Ayul did. Then he rather hopefully chips that one into the penalty towards the penalty area, and Verkic hooks it away. Silk, Timotheu, Kirklick. Gungahlin United pressing for this equaliser. They've had a lot of possession in the last 10 minutes.
Haven't done a lot with it though. They haven't really created the chances that the possession suggests they might have.
They've got less than 5 minutes plus stoppage time to try and find a response. Griffiths, Silk switches to this near side to Edwards.
Football's neat and tidy, but it's not really troubling Canberra FC.
Silk again, all being played in the wrong part of the field as far as Gunners fans are concerned. Kirklick, they're patient though.
Yep, yeah.
Green, Timotheu, not his greatest touch. Verkic happy to just send that straight back down the field. That's where Canberra FC want it. No press at all on Griffiths. Kirklick. Canberra FC looking rather leggy, Steve. Kirklick skips away from Mensah.
Yeah, well, Tarazi hasn't played a lot of football, has he? Even this season, though, he's got himself some sort of fitness. He hasn't played a lot, and he's just looking just a little fatigued. And Mensah, for all his qualities, isn't going to be chasing up and down the touchline.
Graham's ball forward. Griffiths wins it. Back to Green. Time ticking away, though, for Gungahlin United. Silk.
He's been quite effective since he's come on. Made a bit of a difference to him.
Muller. Kirklick. Silk again. Every red shirt behind the ball. Lifts it into the danger area. Up towards Ayul, who beats Pavlak in the air. But Pavlak's quickest to the second ball. Sends that towards Mensah. Just helps it on its way. Griffiths. Ayul's coming straight back again unless Pavlak has something to say about it. Muller looking to turn. Plenty of space in this area, but Canberra FC happy to sit off and let Gungahlin play here. Yeah,
they're just letting them play in front of them, and if there's a loose ball, bad touch.
Well, chance for Muller. Swings it into the area, it bounces off Germischer as Dwyer was lurking. It's a corner. 2 minutes to go. They left it late last week.
Yeah, it's his Gungahlin time, isn't it?
Munoz time. Not quite on the level Fergie time, is it? The Munoz time. They have scored a couple of late goals this season. They scored a late goal in the FFA Cup final, didn't they? Via Daniel Subasic's own goal. I'm sure he'll thank me for reminding him of that. Into the area. Griffiths is up there. Mensah, important header away. Tarazi does beautifully well. And he steps away, and there's a chance here if he slides it forward towards Costanzo. Won't have the pace to get away, Costanzo, so he looks to find Danning instead. Danning taking on Ayul. Happy to hold the ball up as well. Maybe what Tigers didn't do effectively last week.
Well, if you recall, they gave away a silly free kick on halfway, and from that free kick, the equaliser came.
Well, it came off the ball, wasn't it? That was the one that Mark Shields chased down the corner. We thought he might take it to the corner. He tried to find Ola Rigby in the middle, and that was the turnover that led to that free kick.
Yeah.
Caught in two stools between going for a third and killing the game off. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, though, isn't it?
Oh, and I don't make mistakes from up here.
Never do. I mean, if Ola Rigby heads that in with 3-1 and you're going, well, game over, aren't you?
Yeah.
Good decision. But as it was, is there a sting in the tail here again at Gungahlin enclosed? Green.
Well, they're certainly playing with some urgency now.
Clips it up towards Muller, who wins the header. Pavlak was in there, takes it away from Timotheo. Green once more. Kirklick.
There's 6 forward in this move.
Ronaldo, have they got the delivery? Ronaldo swings it in towards O'Dwyer. Mensah's missed it. Chance for Ayul on the far post. And he's bailed out, Michael Mensah, by Ivan Pavlak. Win for the spectacular.
Yes, not the most productive of defensive challenges.
Could see what he was trying to do. Lost it in the gloom that's descending across Gungahlin enclosed. But a chance for the Gunners. We're into stoppage time. There can't be too much stoppage time. We'll do 3 or 4 minutes perhaps. Seems standard these days.
Yeah, won't be far off it. There hasn't been a great deal of need for trainers, to be honest, apart from the Obst injury.
Kirklick swings it in. Player goes down in the middle. Comes to Ayul on the far post. Lifts it straight back in again. Graham's there on 2 occasions. Danning with Kirklick. And Danning does well. And we'll look to just send this out of play. Everybody in a black and white shirt is ahead of the ball now with Griffiths, except for Edwards, who's on the halfway line, and he's receiving that pass. A minute played of stoppage time. Ayul. Slightly heavy touch. Edwards. Gungahlin want the ball forward and quick. Clips it in there. One in the air by Derbyshire. Volley clear by Graham.
Yeah.
All the experience showing for Canberra FC.
And the lack of experience and some naivety by Gungahlin. They've actually played into FC's hand. They've just tried to get things in the box.
Just like that from Griffiths. Derbyshire wins it again.
They haven't won one header or 1 second ball. So
Graham, Tarazi. Mensah made the run wide, and he's found Michael Mensah. Michael Mensah takes it away from Green into the penalty area, fires it across goal, taking a deflection, and that could have gone anywhere. Griffiths in the end heads it wide of his own goal.
Mensah strode away from Jack Green there like he was nailed to the floor.
And Canberra FC have a corner. Now I can't imagine they'll be throwing too many red shirts at this one. Derbyshire and Kofi Danning having a chat.
And certainly
Matt Derbyshire wants to take it. And there's 3 red shirts in the penalty area. They've left 4 back though, of course. They don't need a second goal, but it would be the icing on the cake for them if they got one. Matty Derbyshire taking forever, tying his boots up.
From Gungahlin's point of view, I think...
Here he is. Look at this, Steve. This is proper experience from Matt Derbyshire. Alex Toomey's like, fair enough, I'm going to just add the time on anyway. And it's a yellow card. And that gets him out of the trip to Riverina next week, doesn't it? Didn't fancy a 3.5 hour coach trip to Griffith. Gets himself the yellow card he wanted.
And wipes off.
Or am I being cynical?
Well, no, I think you might have just nailed it.
Here's Danning. I'm sure that's why they had the chat down in the corner. Wipes off his booking as well, doesn't he? Wipes the slate clean towards the pointy end of the season. Tarazi, Muller back with the challenge, and he's going to get a card as well. And a card for Griffiths too. Chucking him around.
A rather tetchy end to the game.
Well, I think that's 4 by my count for Gungahlin. And Matty Gerbisher's sneaky little yellow.
Yes.
Tactical yellow, I'll call that one.
No, I'm sure he was genuinely tying up his shoelaces at this late stage of the game, because he does take so many corners for...
Absolutely, I've seen him take at least one this season. That one right there. Danning with a free kick. Will he try for goal? It's Kofi Danning. It's taken a deflection and took all the pace off the ball, and Denham has it. And he's going to send it forward. We're 4 minutes into stoppage time. Derbyshire up with a header with Ayul. Chance, one final opportunity, you think, for Gungahlin United. Here's Ayul running at Graham, finding Bassa Silk. Mensah's back to help out his defence, and Waters can send it forwards towards Danning. And he's happy to concede the throw, because Alex Toomey brings the game to a conclusion, and Canberra SC go top of the NPL with a hard-fought but deserved 1-0 victory.
Yeah, a game that didn't sort of live up to the pre-match hype, but nonetheless a valuable 3 points for Canberra FC, as you say, takes them back to the top of the table, and on balance I think they probably deserved it. Gungahlin in the last 20-25 minutes of the second half sort of lifted the urgency a little bit, but were unable to sort of create any clear-cut chances, and their naivety was present in nearly every attack where they tried to just get crosses into the box and hope that somebody could get on the end. Soaked up the pressure, Canberra FC, and I think in any objective view 1-0 for them is a fair result.
You wouldn't say they were hanging on, would you, at the end there? Gungahlin had a lot of possession and a lot of balls into the penalty area, but that's meat and drink for the likes of Subasic, Gerbisher and the like. Mensah back there helping out as well.
Absolutely, and I think on the break they've probably created as many good chances as Gungahlin did, despite all the weight of possession being against them. So the experience of FC soaking up the pressure comes to the fore again, not dissimilar to the other games that they've had this season against Gungahlin. Gungahlin gave a good account of themselves, but in the end, experience and quality has held out.
Thanks for your company again, Steve. Work to be done then for Gungahlin United in their chase for the top four. But for Canberra FC, they're back at the summit of the NPL. They're a point clear with a game in hand as well. Big time for a big result for them here at Gungahlin in close. The game decided by a solitary goal scored in the 33rd minute. Marco Tarazi reacting quickest to a bit of head tennis in the penalty after good work from Matt Gerbisher to nod a ball which kind of trickled apologetically past Jason Denham in the goal. They all count though, and it was the one that mattered for Canberra FC. The final score at Gungahlin enclosed, Gungahlin United 0, Canberra FC 1.